True Grit movie review. So this is one of my scripted movie review series in which I take a review I wrote years ago on my weblog and read it out to make a YouTube video out of it for whatever that may or may not be worth. It's been interesting going through my old movie reviews from years ago because there are so many movies that as I look at the old review, I'm reminded that at the time they came out, they seemed like a big deal. There was a lot of buzz around them, and now they seem more or less completely forgotten. This is a classic example of this. This was really the flavor of the month at the time it came out. It generated a lot of buzz. Film critics were talking about it. People were talking about it, word of mouth. And I was just thinking, I haven't heard anybody talk about this film in years. Now, again, that could just be me. Maybe I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd, or maybe I'm out of touch. Let me know. But it seems like this is another example of a film which everyone was really excited about when it came out, and then its kind of cultural relevance dropped off sharply after that. So this was originally a 1969 John Wayne movie. I was going to say that this is a remake of that movie, but I was checking Wikipedia right before filming this review. And it's not technically a remake because it's based on the novel. So I guess it was originally a novel first, and then it was a 1969 John Wayne movie, and then this is also another version of the novel. So not a remake of the John Wayne movie, but a different version of the novel. But anyways, it's most famous as a John Wayne movie from 1969, which I am ashamed to say I have not seen, but is regarded as a classic. And again, I haven't seen this, so somebody let me know if I'm getting this wrong, but my impression is it's regarded as a classic because it's John Wayne playing a different type of character than he normally plays, and generating apparently a range of depth that a lot of people didn't think he had prior to this movie. And I believe it's the only movie that John Wayne ever got an Oscar for. So notable in film history for all those reasons. This film was by the Coen brothers, and again, apparently based more on the original novel than the John Wayne version of the movie. And the Coen brothers have a reputation. They don't make fast-moving films. They make films that are more atmospheric and more character studies. And yes, boy, is this film more atmospheric and more character-driven than it is plot-driven. And I think that's all right, as long as you know that going in and you're kind of in that mood. And I mean, if you're just waiting for the plot to take off, you're gonna hate this movie. But if you enjoy this as a movie where you get to hang out with the characters, then you'll have a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed it, except for maybe the last 10 minutes or so. The reason being, this is one of those movies that has a long, drawn-out ending. So, you have the climax, everything gets resolved, and then I guess you could call this Return of the King syndrome. It kind of just goes on longer than it should after what would seem like the proper ending. So those last 10 minutes or so lost me. But up until then, I was thoroughly enjoying myself. There's a lot of atmosphere, a lot of scenes which don't really contribute to the plot, but are there to add atmosphere and character eccentricities. And they work. I mean, again, if you're just waiting for the plot to take off, you're going to hate this movie. But if you're there for the atmosphere, you'll have a good time. I saw this movie in the theaters originally, and I remember actually as we were leaving the theaters, you can overhear the chit-chat and overhear other people's conversations, and a number of people were saying something along the lines of, well, that wasn't a great film, but it was more or less entertaining. And I think that reflects my view of it. Now, this is one of those films where maybe the audience's view and the critic's view was not in complete alignment. This film was very highly praised by the critics. I think audiences were a bit more lukewarm on it, and I guess I'd classify myself in that camp as well. Was not the best film ever, but it was entertaining enough. Jeff Bridges does a great job in this movie. Much of this movie is just a showcase for him to act like an old, grizzled, brutal Western lawman. But he makes a character that's worthy of that showcase. And somewhat to my surprise, Matt Damon did an excellent job in this film with his role as an arrogant Texas Ranger. I'm not generally a huge Matt Damon fan, but I think this movie proved that he could really act. You know, there's that joke out there that Matt Damon can't really act. And I think in some of his films, maybe he's underperforming. But in this film, I think this performance proves that he can really act. And Josh Brolin has a relatively small part in this movie. But Josh Brolin is always fantastic. He always amazes me because he shows up as a completely different character in every movie. You know, there are some actors who more or less just play the same guy in every movie. Josh Brolin is just a brilliant character actor because he just morphs into a completely different character in every movie he's in. He's got such a range. I think he is tremendously underrated. He doesn't get near enough credit as he should. And he does a really good job in this movie as well. So if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. I know nobody's talking about this movie as much as they did 10 years ago, but it's interesting. It's worth checking out.